On a quiet morning in August 1942, an American Navy airship floated silently over Daly City, California. Its engines were still humming, its cabin door was wide open, and its structure sagged unnaturally. But inside, no one. The crew had vanished. Thus was born one of aviation history's most baffling mysteries, the tale of the L-8, the so-called Ghost Blimp. What began as a routine reconnaissance patrol turned into a decades-long enigma, sparking speculation, conspiracy theories, and countless unanswered questions. The origins of the L-8. Before it became part of wartime legend, the L-8 started out with a much humbler goal: advertising. Initially named Ranger, the airship was registered as NC-10A and built by the Goodyear Zeppelin Corporation. Like other blimps of the time, it was intended to promote brands and charm crowds from the sky. But fate had other plans. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, the U.S. entered World War II, and civilian blimps were hastily repurposed for military use. Ranger was handed over to the U.S. Navy, repainted, and designated as L-8, part of the Navy L class of lighter-than-air patrol blimps. These airships, although relatively small, played vital roles in coastal defense, scouting for enemy submarines and escorting convoys along vulnerable waters. L-8 officially joined the Navy's 32nd Squadron of the 3rd Naval Air Wing in early 1942, operating out of Moffett Field in California. Though newer, more powerful airships were coming into service, the L-class blimps were still useful, especially in training roles and short-range missions. A strange morning patrol. It was a standard early morning mission. At 6:03 a.m. on August 16, 1942, L-8 lifted off from Treasure Island, a naval base in San Francisco Bay. On board were two experienced aviators, 27-year-old Lieutenant Ernest DeWitt and 38-year-old Ensign Charles Ellis Adams. A third crew member, a mechanic named James Riley Hill, was originally scheduled to join them but was left behind to reduce weight due to heavy dew on the blimp's surface. Their assignment was straightforward: patrol the coastal waters near the Farallon Islands and Point Reyes for signs of Japanese submarines. Such sightings had been reported before, and the Pacific coastline was considered a potential target zone. At 7:42 a.m., the airship radioed in that it had spotted an oil slick roughly 25 miles west of San Francisco, a potential sign of enemy activity beneath the waves. The message ended with "stand by," implying further communication was forthcoming. But that was the last transmission ever received from L-8's crew. Drifting into history. As ground control tried unsuccessfully to reestablish contact, anxiety grew. Two Navy reconnaissance planes were dispatched, but they remained above the clouds and could not locate the blimp. Between 9 o'clock and 9:45 a.m., several vessels, including the Albert Gallatin and Daisy Gray, reported seeing L-8 releasing colorful flares. At this point, the blimp still appeared under control and presumably manned. However, these were the final confirmed sightings of L-8 behaving normally. At 10:20 a.m., a Pan Am Boeing 314 flying boat reported spotting the blimp again, now behaving erratically at a higher than normal altitude. 10 minutes later, Navy planes caught sight of it emerging from the cloud layer, drifting aimlessly. Then it vanished into the clouds once more. Around 11:15 a.m., beachgoers and fishermen near the Olympic Golf Course in Daly City saw L-8 reappear, now dangerously low. The airship skimmed rooftops and telephone lines, then softly crash-landed on Bellevue Avenue, in the middle of a quiet residential neighborhood. By the time emergency crews reached the site, they were met with an eerie sight. The cabin was intact, the engines idling, the instruments functioning, but no crew, not a trace. Where did they go? The investigation begins. Navy investigators were baffled. L-8 had suffered only minor scrapes, likely from trees and buildings during descent. The envelope, the air-filled hull, had deflated due to safety valves venting gas at high altitudes. The ballonets used to stabilize the ship were also deflated, likely due to inactivity. Yet nothing else seemed out of place. The radio worked. The parachutes, life raft, flare gun, and even the crew's sidearms were all still on board. Crucial documents, charts, submarine detection records were present and untouched. The engines were switched off manually, suggesting the airship had not experienced catastrophic failure. Even more confusingly, the throttle levers were set to full and half ahead, as if mid-flight adjustments had been interrupted. The only clear anomaly? The cabin door was wide open. The only clear anomaly discovered during the investigation was that the cabin door of the blimp was wide open. Despite extensive air and sea searches, no trace of Lieutenant Cotty or Ensign Adams was ever found. Both men were officially declared missing in action, and after a year with no new leads, they were presumed dead. From the outset, both military officials and the public were determined to solve the perplexing case of the Ghost Blimp, giving rise to a number of theories. One of the most straightforward explanations is that one of the airmen may have leaned out of the cabin to get a better view of the oil slick and accidentally fallen into the sea, with the second man potentially meeting the same fate while attempting a rescue. Since the L-8 lacked autopilot, the blimp could have simply drifted back inland, unmanned. Another theory suggests a possible enemy encounter, perhaps with a Japanese submarine. However, there was no damage to the airship or evidence of foul play, and sensitive military documents on board remained untouched, casting doubt on this scenario. A more speculative idea proposed that the crew may have deserted, using the mission as a cover to escape their duties. Yet this theory also lacks support, as neither officer had a record of discontent, and abandoning their post with critical materials on board would have been highly risky. As with any enduring mystery, the L-8 story has also spawned its fair share of wild theories, from alien abductions and secret military experiments to time travel. While none of these ideas are grounded in fact, the surreal image of a fully intact, crewless airship drifting over a California neighborhood continues to fuel the imagination, solidifying the Ghost Blimp's place in aviation lore. The L-8's second career. Despite the bizarre incident, the Navy decided not to scrap the L-8. After a brief investigation and repairs, the blimp was fitted with a new envelope and returned to service in July 1943. From that point onward, it served as a training vessel until its final retirement in March 1944. After the war, Goodyear reacquired several former military blimps, including parts of the original L-8. The gondola, the very same one that had floated unmanned over California, was reused and remained in operation in various forms until 1982. Fittingly, the gondola earned the nickname the Flying Dutchman, a nod to the legendary ghost ship cursed to roam the seas forever. Today, it's on display at the National Museum of Naval Aviation in Pensacola, Florida, fully restored and standing as a quiet reminder of the airship's strange legacy. Legacy of the Ghost Blimp. More than 8 decades later, the mystery of the L-8 still captivates aviation historians and amateur sleuths alike. It remains one of the few cases in American military history where a fully functional aircraft returned without its crew, leaving no concrete explanation behind. The story has been featured in documentaries, podcasts, and books. Some see it as a tragic wartime accident. Others treat it as one of history's great unsolved puzzles. But perhaps the real enduring power of the L-8 story is what it reveals about the fragile boundary between routine and anomaly. A simple patrol turned into a national mystery. 2 experienced men vanished from a fully functional airship with no distress signal, no damage, and no clear reason. It's the kind of story that refuses to be forgotten, haunting the skies of World War II with the soft, silent drift of a blimp without its pilots. If you enjoyed unraveling the mystery of the Ghost Blimp, give this video a thumbs up. Got your own theory on what happened to the L-8 crew? Drop it in the comments below. We read them all. Don't forget to subscribe for more incredible true stories from aviation history. Until next time, stay curious and keep your eyes on the skies.